Good evening and welcome to Arizona Illustrated for Tuesday, the 19th of June, 2012. I'm Tony Paniagua. Much is being said about the need to lead healthier lifestyles and help the environment. And tonight we have an example built by young people that is working on these issues. Luis Carrion has the story of a local working urban farm.
Merritt, can I see your potatoes? Oh, those are so beautiful.
Who's your farmer? That's the question that's being explored here.
As many as you can.
This is Tucson Village Farm, a working urban farm built by and for the youth of our community.
You guys ready to start your farm tours? Should we read this? My name is Lisa Carter, and I'm program coordinator and founder for Tucson Village Farm. We're here at the farm right now on North Campbell.
Lisa Carter is one of the founders of Tucson Village Farm, and she says TVF is an environment designed to reconnect young people to a healthy food system, teach them how to grow and prepare fresh food, and empower them to make healthy life choices.
Farm Camp is the program that you're seeing here today. We do 2 weeks of Farm Camp in the summer. We consider ourselves a seed-to-table program, so whenever possible, we take kids from seed to table. So we show them what's growing in the field, and ideally they have a chance to harvest it and cook it. So Farm Camp is the time that we really get to do that, because we have kids here ages 7 to 11 for 8 hours a day. And so they get to do all kinds of stuff.
What part do you think we're going to use for making our cheese?
Carter says Farm Camp participants experience 35 hours of farm immersion, learning the ins and outs of farm life through daily farm chores, live animal demonstrations, presenters, and daily food preparation.
Our goal is it's largely exposure. We just want to expose these kids to as many different tastes and healthy foods as we can.
This camp allows young people to be involved in every aspect of food preparation in a sustainable farm.
My name is Miles Lyons. My age is, I'm 9, and I go to San Juan Science Academy. I've been here for 3 years. It's very awesome. I've learned how to harvest potatoes, tomatoes, and all the great stuff. Cooking, I've been learning how to make omelets. It's just been awesome.
Miles Lyons is here for the 3rd year, and he says on this day he and his friends are learning about goats and how some goats are used for milk production.
There's a presentation about a goat with the milk and stuff like that. I learned that they could see in the dark, and they could look behind. They could move their eyes farther than we can without turning their heads.
Activities on the farm are designed to connect young people with food and to give them an understanding of where good, nutritious food comes from.
My name's Ellie. I go to Casa Montessori, and I'm 9 years old.
Look at your thermometer. Note where 190 is.
Well, we're making goat cheese because today Penelope, one of the CITs, they brought over one of their goats named Penelope, and they milked it. It's really fun to watch it get milked.
Tucson Village Farm focuses on young kids, and as the students move through the program, many graduate to become counselors in training, like 13-year-old Basil Ramadan.
I've been here about 2 years. I started at the beginning of 2010-ish, and I love this program. It's really good experience. A lot of people love hearing about it because it's such a great program for kids.
Making it so that they can actually see more of them.
Personally, my favorite is sticking in the kitchen because there's just so many options for what to do, like cutting, preparing food, designing the food.
Food preparation is only one component of what goes on here at Tucson Village Farm.
Who's going to harvest potatoes?
According to Carter, Farm Camp is also only a small part of what happens here throughout the year.
You see those big tall flowers? I really wanted to get kids outside and get them in nature and get them reconnecting to where their food comes from. We're also doing some digging today. People in general have no idea where their food comes from past aisle 6 in the Safeway. My kid just won't eat anything green. My kid won't eat vegetables. We hear that all the time. And what I learned through the school garden and what we see every day here is that if a child has a hand in cultivating, growing, picking, seeing the real vegetable, the whole vegetable on the vine, they will eat it. Have you guys ever harvested potatoes?
The summer harvest is almost over, but Carter says plans are already underway for the next event at Tucson Village Farm, a family workshop titled Backyard Gardening with Kids. You can log on to our website at azpm.org for more information on Tucson Village Farm.
Fruits and vegetables make up a sizable industry in southern Arizona thanks to our proximity to Mexico, which grows much of what we consume. Tonight we are joined by Lance Jungmeyer. He is the president of the Fresh Produce Association of the Americas, which has more than 100 members that specialize in this field. With him is Matt Mandel. He is the chairman-elect of the organization and is a co-owner of a company that distributes and imports some of this produce. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tony.
Let's begin with you, Lance. If you can tell me what the Fresh Produce Association of the Americas is all about. What is your goal? What is your mission?
Well, we represent U.S.-based companies that import produce from Mexico. And if I could sum it up in one sentence, we try to help get the fresh produce across the border from Mexico quicker, more efficiently, and with less red tape and cheaper for our members.
Okay. And Matt, what about you? How far do you go back insofar as being involved in this industry?
I'm actually third generation within the industry, second generation here in southern Arizona. My company's been in existence now we're on our 18th year, and the family's been in Nogales now for 31 years.
And Lance, we were speaking about your mission. How do you go about accomplishing it? Do you speak to federal officials, state officials, local representatives? What happens?
Really at all three levels. We at the local level in Nogales, we'll work with Customs, Food and Drug Administration, USDA, Arizona Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carrier Safety, and all the same groups on the Mexican side. And then we work with a lot of those same groups at the national level in Washington, D.C. and in Mexico City. And we just try to look at the regulations that are out there and say, does this make sense to complete the mission of the law and to help the business grow?
And as an actual business owner, Matt, what are some of the issues that you think are important for, let's say, the United States to address and Mexico as well?
The biggest issue that we're coming up against right now is that in 2014, we're going to have a brand new port of entry. It's going to be a beautiful, wonderful facility that's going to greatly increase our capacity to bring the produce into the United States. At the current moment, we don't have proper staffing for the new port of entry. So it's really educating the government officials who have the influence to make it happen about the positive effects of what it is that we're doing, not just at the state level, but on a national level as well.
Do you find that a lot of people, because when you speak of Nogales or Mexico right away, it turns to a negative connotation?
It definitely has a negative aura about it. Most people think of Nogales and they think immigration, they think drug problems, and completely forget that there's a wonderful, vibrant produce industry down there that's really bringing in quite a bit of economic impact to the state and the country as a whole.
And speaking of that economic impact, Lance, what do you see as this? There was a study back in 1997. What is that number? Any idea?
Well, in 1997, about 1 billion pounds of produce was imported through Nogales in the United States from Mexico. Now it's 2.5 to 3 billion pounds in a given year. So the industry has grown 150, 200% since then. And we're going with the new port of entry. It's going from 4 commercial lanes to 8 commercial lanes. So we really have the ability to double it again, provided that we can have the kind of resources we need in the state, highway infrastructure, exits that can handle the truck traffic, and I think a mood in Arizona to really grow the industry. I would say Arizona is heavily impacted by a more business-friendly environment in Texas and California with regards to growing business at the border.
So you think, Matt, that perhaps not enough people are aware of this economic contribution and therefore not doing everything possible to facilitate the process?
That seems to be the biggest issue. We've been working quite a bit at the state level, and it's not necessarily a matter of influence so much as it is education. Once the legislators understand and realize what it is that we're doing down at the border, then they get it. And once they get it, then it really opens their eyes to the possibilities of what it is that we're doing as an industry.
Because this is one of the things we hear over and over. We don't want illegal immigration. We don't want drugs. But you have a legitimate business that provides lots of jobs and a really good economic impact, and therefore you want to support that, do you not, Lance?
Right. Santa Cruz County is a small county, about 50,000 people, and the produce industry provides upwards of 10,000 jobs for the whole county. And anytime we see the negative headlines about the violence at the border, which coincidentally is not often in Arizona, but more often in Texas and other places, we have a lot of negative attention that I think the federal government and the congressmen have looked at that and said, well, let's throw Border Patrol at the problem. Let's throw National Guard at the problem. And from our standpoint, that has been effective, and they've stopped a lot of the illegal activity in the desert between the ports of entry. And now the cartels are looking at the ports of entry. They're saying, well, I think I can just send my drugs and other smuggling things through the port, through the legitimate area. And so the already strapped resources at customs are spending more and more time looking at trucks. We've gone from about 10, 15 years ago, if your truck was stuck in line at customs for 2 hours, you thought that was a really bad day. Now 6 or 8 hours is a bad day. And we're talking about perishable fruits and vegetables that need to get to the warehouses. And then, Matt, do you see future benefits or economic growth in this area? We hear so much about people trying to eat healthier foods. Fruits and vegetables are obviously part of that mix.
Yeah, there's definitely a push to eat healthier, and fresh fruits and vegetables is the basis of any healthy diet. But apart from that, the opportunities in Mexico are just, I don't want to say endless, nearly endless. And then with new technologies coming on, the ability to grow more sustainably, more precociously, all of that is just, there's so much upside in growing in Mexico.
And well, good luck with everything that's going on. I'm sure you guys are really busy, and we'll see what happens in 2014 when the new port opens.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Over 600,000 people have died with AIDS in the U.S. and are honored at the National AIDS Memorial Grove.
This is the best kept secret in San Francisco.
The Grove is lacking that disruptive statement that something awful and horrible happened here.
If that design goes in, I'm going to be the first one to throw myself in front of the bulldozer.
The Grove.
Tuesday at 11 on PBS HD, Arizona Public Media.
Some of you may have noticed a bit of rain over the weekend, and while this would not be a big deal in much of the country, the precipitation is a cause for celebration in the Sonoran Desert. Next, Caitlin Harrington has an interview about El Día de San Juan, which according to local tradition kicks off the summer rainy season in our region.
Joining me in studio today is Lillian Lopez Grant and Lisette Matus. They're both here to talk about the Dia de San Juan Fiesta. Lillian, as the president of the Dia de San Juan Fiesta, can you tell our audience a little bit about the history of this event?
Well, the event itself goes way back to when the Spanish explorers came to New Spain, which is here, but we are here. And then, like it is now, everything was very parched and dry. There was a major drought. And Francisco Vasquez Coronado was the guy that was heading that bunch. And he's standing there by the Santa Cruz River and trying to figure out how to make it rain because the animals are dying, the crops are pretty crispy at that time, and they're in bad shape. So he prayed. That's what we all do when we get in a pickle, and he prayed and he swore to God that if he sent the rain, that forevermore they would celebrate the 24th as the feast of St. John, who St. John the Baptist had baptized Jesus in the river, the Jordan River, I think, one of those rivers, and it did rain. It did rain, and so they proclaimed it the 24th of June, the feast of St. John, and that they would be celebrated in perpetuity. That this was going to happen forever. Well, it used to be practiced along the Santa Cruz and in different parts of the Southwest and in Mexico. And that was when the Santa Cruz was running. And they, as other things has happened, you know, through history, it didn't happen much anymore. In 1998, I think it was, the Historical Society decided to have a thing over at the Sosa Carrillo House to relive the other San Juan, and it was pretty impressive. It was really neat, and that kind of kicked off a new era here in Tucson, of bringing back some of these historic and cultural events that have been practiced here for generations, way back. You know, and so if you look around town during in Christmas time, October, the summer, there's a lot of events that go back to the 1500s when the Spaniards were here discovering the New World.
Lisette, can you talk to us a little bit about some of the events that will be taking place during the fiesta and the different performers that you'll have?
Every year that we started this, we always have mariachis. Mariachis have always been involved with the Mexican culture. We have children, because children always have a great time, and it's all about family. We have folklorico dancers from the little kids to the big kids. We've, the past couple years, we've brought in the Aztec dancers. They've been great. I mean, as hot as it is, they're out there, and like Lillian said, last year we had Ringling Brothers. That was the first time I think we've ever had clowns. Yeah. That was really a big... We have piñatas. The kids go... There's an area where they're just for kids, where they do face painting. There's games. Like I mentioned, the piñatas. We have... Can
you tell us a little bit about the florecitas?
The florecitas. The florecitas have been around for a little over 9, almost 10 years now. We've been everywhere. They've gone as far as Denver. They're our Mexican drill team. They do everything on horseback. It's like a little ballet on horseback. There's 8 girls. They do a routine or a drill for 8 minutes. There are different parts of the drill that they have to have in, like a cross where they cross over each other. There's also a ladder where it looks like they're actually climbing a ladder, and they do certain things where they burst out and stuff. So the girls are in their big flowing dresses and the horses, and they ride side saddle.
And we did talk prior to this interview about the significance of the women being the performers on the horses. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the girls, what they do, they act out what was going on in the Mexican Revolution back when Pancho Villa was fighting for their freedom from the tyranny of the Mexican government. And the girls reenact a battle. It's actually what they're doing. So it's really dangerous, very dangerous. I mean, there's been some really bad accidents, but we pray before they go on. That's the first thing they do. Like I said, it always comes back to religion, like with the Dia de San Juan. It comes back to the religion. So,
Lillian, we have about a minute left.
Yeah.
We were talking about how the location has moved over the course of the last 15 years. This is the 15th annual celebration.
Right.
Can you tell our audience when and where they can come out to see the event take place?
Right. If you drive down Congress past the freeway, west of the freeway, the Avenida del Convento, it's the first street light. They're blocking the street. That's where the stage is going to be. We've got ongoing entertainment. Last year they kept right on going. It's supposed to end at 10, and they kept right on going till 1 in the morning. And we've got mariachis. We've got the dancers. We've got
Olga Flores.
Yeah, Olga Flores and her group that they're headlining, and we've got
lots of information booths. We have food.
Well, we look forward to seeing how the event turns out on Sunday, and hopefully it brings our dry desert a little bit of rain. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Even if we don't get a lot of rain this summer, many people in southern Arizona will still be able to enjoy a green oasis at home thanks to their water gardens where they grow plants or fish or both. Joanne Stoley is here to elaborate. She is the president of the Tucson Watergardeners, which has been around since 1999. Joanne, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Tony.
So what do you want to tell us about the organization? What is, how long has it been around? What is the purpose, membership, etc.?
Okay, we've been around since 1999. We are a nonprofit registered in the state of Arizona. And our purpose is really to promote good water gardening practices, good ponding practices. It's to share both lessons learned, the good, the bad, the ugly. Algae is always a favorite topic. And it's also because we all love plants. It's to propagate, promote, trade, acquire new plants, and enjoy our water gardens.
And I was just talking to you a couple of minutes ago. You are not originally from Arizona, but somehow you came across this organization and decided to get involved.
Yes, I did. Transferred from Annapolis, Maryland, decided to retire in Tucson. After killing several cactuses, being very discouraged as a gardener, I came upon a little news article about the Tucson Watergardeners. So I said, well, maybe that's the answer. And I guess it was.
And what do you like about it? What have you been doing for the organization?
I have been very active as their newsletter editor, and we do a newsletter. It's online at TucsonWatergardeners.org. In serving as president, one of our big things is we have a big aquatic plant sale in May, and it's a great opportunity to get all kinds of plants at fairly reasonable prices. We are putting on a garden tour, a water garden tour, on September 8th and 9th. It's going to be free to the public. Look for more information on that at our website, and it's hopefully a chance for people to see water gardening possibilities, whether they're in a small container, a bathtub, or a converted swimming pool.
So let's talk about some of those aquatic plants you just mentioned. We have some here on our set. What do you want to tell us about these little ones right here?
Okay, those are in the floater, what we call the floater families, and that is particular, it's a water lettuce. And it floats along the top of the water. It's got roots that dangle down. Those roots help filter the water from debris, from nitrates. It's also for spawning, for fish spawning, and they propagate by little runners. There's some runners on the other side. And in the summer, by the end, if they like you, it will cover your whole pond if you let it.
And what can you do with these if you get too many of them?
Compost pile.
Okay.
Or you trade them to somebody that wants some. In the spring, they're very valuable because they die back in the winter. And some of us can hold them over and some of us can't. So they're always in demand.
Okay, now you have you have a larger plant right there on your right. What is that?
That's a marginal plant. It's called a lizard's tail or a water dragon. And it grows along the sides. You put it along the sides of a pond. It likes its feet and ankles wet in the water and the soil. And a stand of those, the reason they call it that is the top bloom starts out very curled, straightens out, and they can get to be 3 or 4 or 5 feet high. Make us a beautiful, dramatic stand.
And Joanne, how much personal satisfaction do you get out of this hobby?
Oh my goodness. In the desert, I think water is so important. And everybody you talk to, all our members, there's about 134 of us, will tell you it's the sound of water that they crave. It's relaxation when they go into their backyards or their side yards or their patios. They want to hear the water. It's an easy way to grow plants, and the plants are beautiful. The water lilies, I'm sure we've all seen those. Impossible to bring one today. The blues, the purples, the whites. The flowers are just gorgeous in the foliage in the desert.
And you were telling me, for those people that are concerned about water waste, that you really don't, once you fill up these tanks, you really don't lose a lot or spend a lot of money on water itself.
That's right, Tony. It's really a conservation. Once you fill it up, you have some evaporation rate, and sometimes you have an automatic filler that, as it's needed as a pond goes down. But it's not like putting water on plants and having terrestrial plants and having it just seep into the ground from that.
And how easy or difficult is this hobby? Some people may see these plants and say, wow, I don't know if I can even get started, and how much money am I going to spend?
Okay. Very easy hobby. You can start out with a pot, a wash tub, a whiskey barrel, put it on your patio. If you think you don't know what you want to do, come to the Water Gardeners. We can provide all kinds of plants for beginners. In fact, we have big plant swaps. We can provide you mosquito fish to keep the mosquitoes away. It can grow at an expense if you decide you want to do a big landscape job with a lot of falls and stonework around a pond. You can spend what you want to, but the pleasure is still the same. It's a pleasure about water.
And you have a meeting on Thursday, June 28th?
28th, Thursday night at the Junior League on River Road. It's our public meeting, and this time it's on mosquito control because people with water, we want to do good practices and be responsible. And that's lots of times why we have little mosquito fish, is to eat the mosquito larvae. So.
Okay. All right. And then I know you mentioned the annual water garden tour, which is in September. What do you want to tell us about that again?
I think I'm excited because we've got probably 8 to 10 gardens now online, from the very high-end designer to container gardens. And we want people to come and see what kinds of possibilities. There's all kinds of possibilities to fit your pocketbook and we can always provide the plants and
Okay.
trade plants.
Great. Well, Joanne Stoley, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck with the organization.
Thank you for having me.
All right. In tonight's video postcard by photographer and editor Santiago Batti, we take you to the toy train show at the Tucson Expo Center, which was held earlier this month.
So this is 1930.
You can get more news and information on our website, azpm.org. To comment on any story you saw tonight, click on it online and go to the bottom. We can also be reached via Facebook and Twitter. Coming up tomorrow night, we'll give you scientific and cultural information about the summer solstice. And many residents in southern Arizona are getting ready for the annual Refugee Festival this weekend. I'm Tony Paniagua. For all of us at Arizona Public Media, have a great night.